We're now in. There we go. All right. Well, welcome, Nina Stavisky. Good to have you here. Small group, but it should be fun. Just for those who would join us online who may not know Nina, she's been in the book trade for over 20 years as a bookseller, trainer, teacher, etc. She's the general delegate of ALIA, which I am not going to try and pronounce what it means because French is...
I'll do that.
Yeah, it's one language I can never do, but I really am interested in hearing about how you do that. But also, you're head of the bookselling section in at the University of Paris in Nanterre, and you've got that 3-year course in bookselling. You were just saying you've got a bunch of people out there doing internships at the moment, so I'm really interested to hear more about that. So I'm just going to pass over to you. That's okay?
Okay, thank you very much. So, hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm going to start with Alir. So when that's done, we can talk about bookseller courses. I'm very, very sorry for my accent because I'm very French and we have a problem with foreign languages. So yeah, I'm sorry. ALIR is Association des librairies informatisées utilisatrices des réseaux électroniques. Took me a lot myself to be able to say it in just one go. It's a bookshops association that works only on technical and technological issues. So we work on ebooks and e-marketing and selling online, and we do a lot of work on EDI and on POSs. So the computer, how would you say that? The software you use on your computer to be able to run your bookshop.
Sale and
Point of sale, yeah. So Alir was created in 1989, so it's a fairly old association now. And for a French association, I would say. And yeah, we still work on all those matters and going on in bookstores to understand how booksellers work and how technical stuff can help them. The point being, we think a bookseller should be in his or her bookshop and not on his or her computer. So we have to find ways to lessen the burden of the computer for the people to have more time selling books. Because I still think that we are here to sell books and not to click on things. So yeah, that's Alir, and we have more than 1,000 members now. And we cater to very different bookstores because we have independent bookstores, we have chains, and we even have big internet shops, should we say. Because they are useful to us, so they are members. And so yeah, it's a very interesting work because it's helping booksellers to work, and that's a nice thing. I'm sorry, also my table is moving, so every time I move my hands, and I'm from a Latin American country, so I move my hands a lot, and my table moves also. So sorry. So yeah, bookselling courses. That's in Europe, we have lots of bookselling schools, more than I thought, but usually in lots of countries you have just one bookselling school, and it's a private school run by the Booksellers Association. And in France, like as you know, we don't like to do things like the others. So I think we have like somewhere between 15 and 20 book-selling schools. And on those, 2 are private, and all of the others are public. We have one main school, the one I was a pupil in, a student in. It's called École de la Librairie, because simple better. École de la Librairie is a public school, and it runs with it's an apprenticeship. So you have 2 years apprenticeship, and then you are a bookseller. So it's free for the students, and that's very important. And it has like 80 to 90 students every year. They are at school 1 week every month, except of course in December and July and August. And it is a very nice school. I started teaching over there in I think 2008, spinning on technical matters at the time, and yeah, it's so it caters mostly to young people wanting to become booksellers. It also has what we call formation continue. That's for older people who would like to have a new life and reinvent themselves as booksellers. That's a very way shorter teaching, of course. It's only, I think École de la Librairie has it on in 15 to 20 weeks. So yeah, that's easier. But most of the young booksellers in France are taught in the university. So my own Paris-Nanterre University, but there's a bookselling course in Bordeaux, in Aix-la-Chapelle, in Strasbourg. There's another one in Paris, because why not? So yeah, lots of universities have what we call a bachelor in bookselling. So that's 3 years. It used to be 2 years, and now it's 3. And that's what I would like to speak about the most, I think. It's what we do in those bachelors, because it's a bit funny. First of all, yeah, it's 3 years, and that's a lot. Because we have the students between the first days of September to end of March, or end of March, every day of every week, from 9 to 5. So they are at school from 9 to 5, from Monday to Friday. That's a lot of school. We do know them by name and everything. We have smaller groups. We start the first year usually with 50 students, goes down to 38 to 40 at the end of the first year. The first year is what we call tronc commun. So tronc commun, that's a very French expression. And that means that in the first year, they don't have to choose what job they want to do. And we have future booksellers, but also future publishers and future librarians. And in the first year, they are all together. And it is, I think, one of the most important things we can do. Because in our professions, we have that problem that we don't talk to each other. And we don't work together. And we don't work well together with publishers. And usually booksellers and librarians don't start me on that topic because it would be very long. So yeah, in our first year, they are comrades in the same class, and that's very important. They have bookselling courses and publishing courses and librarianship courses, and they all learn a bit about every trade. Most of the time, they have academical courses, so sociology, history of the book, history of the of the bookshops, sociology, of course, reader sociology and publishing sociology and everything. They have literary courses. They have French courses, because French being tricky to write, we still want to teach them that. And of course, what you would know, so methodological courses and everything. And then on the first year, the bookselling courses are very basic. My aim is for them at the end of the 3 years to be what I would call good booksellers. And what I would call good booksellers is a good bookseller is someone who can understand the public around his or her bookshop and build an offer around those people and not only around him or herself. And I do truly think that this is, if you have this, you can have all the rest. But if you don't understand that your bookshop isn't your private library, it is done. You can't have a good bookshop. So that's my aim at the end of the 3 years. In the first year, they have to, it's very, they love it. They have to visit bookshops. Yeah, often. So we make with them a list on the first moment, and they have to visit 15 different bookshops each. So usually they are in group of 5, so somewhere between 10 to 12 groups. So that's someone between 150 and 200 bookshops to find, but we can do that. And they have to go to visit those 15 bookshops. And they have to analyze where is the bookshop, what is around the bookshop, and how does it look inside? Just that. And they come back and teach all the other students, well, I've been to this bookstore, it has this and that, there's a school, there's a hospital, there's a university, and the inside looks like this. They take pictures, it's nice. And that's the first way for me to show them that what's inside the bookshop changes, even if the bookshop is on the same street, but 500 meters apart, it's not the same bookshop, because it is not the same surroundings. They have another teacher who has them on the first year working on parts of the bookshop. So yeah, you have to study, to go into a bookshop and look what they have in their youngest, no, you don't say youth part. And what's on the literary and what's on the history part. And yeah, that's the first year. At the end of the first year, everyone has seen at least 15 bookshops and has thought how those 15 bookshops made their stock and why those books are here and not other ones. If they do understand that at the end of the first year, I am very happy. And we go to the second year. The second year, they have chosen. Usually we have a contest, of course, who gets the most students between publishing, librarians, and bookselling. And of course, as we all know, though these years, we get the most students in bookselling. The numbers of students going to librarianship are going very, very down. It's a problem. We might have a problem. And the number of students going to publishing is pretty still. But yeah, most of the students now are going to bookselling. We say to them that they won't get paid They won't get the life. They will work on Saturdays and maybe Sundays, and they come anyway. So I don't know what to say. So yeah, we win that contest every year. Second year starts with first semester of very I forgot the word. Not practical.
Theoretical.
Theoretical, thank you. I had theological in my head. So theoretical things for the first semester. It's very theoretical and might be a bit boring, but they have to learn about fixed book price. They have to learn about a bit of taxes, about a bit of every type of people and companies that goes around the bookshop. So yeah, the state and everything. We have lots of state funding in France, so they have to learn how to find their way in those. They have to learn about ebooks and online bookselling, and they have to learn about they have to start learning about accountability and a bit of, data. They hate that. So yeah, that's the first semester. And my colleague on the first semester he still works on parts of the bookshop, and he works a lot on how to buy books, opposite to how to sell books. We've seen in France a big problem on margins going down in bookshops. Our margins being already our margins being already amongst the weakest one in Europe. Everyone has bigger margins than we have, and they are going down. So we decided to work a lot with the students on how to buy and how to get better margins. They still have, of course, all the universitarian school teachings, so more sociology and more history and more everything we can offer them to give them what we call general culture générale in French, to, we hope, have them being good human beings and knowledgeable human beings. On the second semester, we go practical all the way. It's a big change. They have selling courses. So how to meet a client and how to sell books and how to sell them more books than what they came for. Yeah, we shouldn't say it, but we have to do it. They have a course I love on window making and how to, yeah, but it is important. How to have a good window and how to attract people inside your bookshop. And they have the first of 2 courses on, I forgot the word again, when you use your bookshop data when you analyze it to know how the bookshop is growing or not growing, and what do you have to change to, yeah, analyzing data, I would say. So yeah, that's the second year. Then, I forgot to say, on the first year, then they go into an internship. First year is 4 weeks. That's very short. They had in the first year around March, they are also interns at the Festival du Livre de Paris. So that's a big book fair. And they work with the publishers and the booksellers in the fair to sell the books. So then 4 weeks, then second year. In second year, they are interns a week in another book fair, big book fair, that's Festival du Livre Jeunesse de Montreuil. So that's a youth fair. It's huge. It is beautiful. They love it. And then they have another internship. That's 8 weeks. Something important is in France, interns aren't paid. They start being paid at the 9th week of internship. And they are very poorly paid, so that's a problem. But, well. Third year comes. Third year is a bit more practical. And they're gonna have, they, of course, still have some sociology. They so much sociology, and literary courses and courses on. They have, I think, one of the courses that's very interesting is on the different literary movements, to be able to understand those. And then they have courses on the different parts again. So yeah, what do you sell in a practical part of the bookshop? What do you sell in the trip? What do you sell in comic part and everything? So that's on the third year. They have more data analyze. They still hate it even in third year. They have a course I love on how to interact with publishers' representatives. So that's one is also about how to gain back a bit of margin. They have one on organizing events and on organizing talks with authors. And that's pretty much it. And then, of course, a 12 weeks internship at the end. And then they have to write a memoir, and then they have a nice diploma. We are still working on the programs and we're still working on what they learn, because, you know, every year we have to rethink pretty much everything, because the trade changes, and that as it changes, we have to change the teaching too. We can't rely on something to be equal for 50 years. We have to change it everywhere, anytime. It is a bit, it's lots of work, because of course, if you change everything every year, you have to redo everything every year, and that's a lot. But they are very helpful, because every new pupil that come, every new student has new questions and has new ways of doing things, and that helps us shifting the teachings. We are lucky to be able to have lots of booksellers coming to teach. So all the practical courses are done by booksellers. They come, the selling course is 20 hours. So that's a bookseller that comes for 20 hours with the students to teach them inside his or her bookshop. We are fairly sure that we need professionals in the teachings. We can, I am one, so because I'm an associate professor, and we rely on they rely on us, we rely on ourselves, I don't know, to keep the teachings very up to date, first of all, and then very close to what we do every day in our shops. And then our universitarian friends keep doing the very universitarian part of it. They are researchers and they talk to the students about what they search about, but yeah, that's how we work in university in France about bookselling. I don't know if you have any questions.
Sure, we can think of one or two.
Okay, yes, Samantha.
I have many questions. I'm going to start with my first one on my list. So I'm really curious. I love this idea of the booksellers, the librarians, and the publishers working together.
Mhm.
Have you got any idea why booksellers we are attracting more that want to follow through after that first year? I kind of have an idea about librarians, but it's yeah. Why is bookselling
So attractive.
popular in France? Yeah, I mean,
Okay, I have some idea. The first one, of course, we are so much nicer. So
of
much nicer.
course.
That's the
Yeah.
first thing that comes to mind. Now, yeah, as I said, France is, at the IBF, we call France Booksellers Paradise. That's because in France, bookselling is very heavily helped by the state.
Right.
And during COVID, I have to say I was even a bit ashamed sometimes as how much help we got and how less help the other got.
Right.
You know that France wants always to seem very literary and very smart and very everything you would think about France, and I can say because I am French. But so yeah, we are heavily helped. And we had hundreds and hundreds of bookshops opening after COVID because as we were so much helped, people thought, oh, that's a perfect job. You get to read all day and states gives you money.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the newspaper said that, yeah, the paradise, bookselling is a paradise, bookselling is so nice, bookselling is so, and with, you know, their image of bookselling is I've Got Mail. Do you remember that movie? Yeah, that's what they see when they think bookselling. And they think of Notting Hill and
Yeah.
the small bookshop and that everything is very cozy. And so, yeah, we have to take that out of them. It sometimes is a bit sad. But yeah, that's why I think it's because bookshops have an image of being, yeah, a paradise. And they can
Professional,
be.
surely. I mean, I don't know if Sheila, you've got a comment here, but it seems to me that in the UK, publishing and librarianship are definitely professions. People do have qualifications. We don't have a system where bookselling is. So is that, I'm wondering if that's something to do with it, that because France actually has these courses and it is seen as a bona fide profession, is that the difference? Is that why?
It's also the same in Germany, isn't it? Where you cannot call yourself a bookseller in Germany if you haven't completed the course.
Yeah, no, in Germany, I think you can't open a bookshop if you haven't gone to the school. In France, you can, and that's a pity. I would love to have a mandatory 8 weeks course for people wanting to open a bookshop.
Would make a difference.
A huge one, yeah.
So a quick follow-up question, if I can just slide a cheeky one in then, is of the people that graduate, the booksellers that graduate through your course, do they typically, how high a percentage of those go straight into a job in a bookshop?
On the first year, everyone.
Every single one.
Yeah. And
Wow.
if you look 5 to 10 years after.
Yeah.
They've done.
Okay. We won't probe too much into that, but that's amazing. Yeah.
On the first year, everyone, yeah, we have I don't know what's the English word, taux d'insertion. So we have nearly 100 of the students that have the diploma has a job on the first 6 to 8 months, I would say.
That's incredible.
And then after lots of them work on bookshop for 3 to 5 years and then goes on other jobs.
Thanks, Nina. That's fascinating.
That's something I've seen in the US and I'm starting to see here too, is that bookselling is becoming a student's job. You know, something people do when they are very young.
Yeah.
And then move on to other real jobs as, I don't know.
Or when they're very old.
Yeah, they come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've had a career, you know, in another industry, and then they decide they're going to open a bookshop. Nina, I've got a question for you in regard to the visiting the bookshops in the first year.
Yeah.
And is that funded? Is that subsidized, that travel and accommodation? No, they do that out of their own pocket.
Yeah, we are very lucky because we are in Paris. So we have more than 300 bookstores in Paris.
Wow. Okay.
Changes things.
They only need a railroad card a metro card to go to those bookshops.
Okay, amazing.
Way too much bookshops in Paris.
Are there too many? Are they disappearing or are they growing or?
I think the best example, they stopped funding opening bookstores in Paris.
Oh yeah.
They fund opening a bookstore nearly everywhere. But inside the city of Paris, not that much because too many bookstores.
Overall, are the number of bookstores increasing or are they decreasing in France?
Still increasing, but increasing slower than it was before.
Yeah. It's still going up.
Centre National du Livre, that's a part of the French Ministry of Culture that works only on books thing. Yeah. I have a study. They made a study this year. Where is that data? Here. So in 2024, 72 bookshops closed in France and 129 opened. So still a positive balance.
Yeah. They're always closing and they're always opening. Yeah.
We are one of the main works we are doing in the schools now is for the people who are changing life and changing careers and becoming booksellers later, to pursue them to not to open, but to, how would you say, to buy a bookshop already existing. And that's one of our main goals, is to help them buy existing bookshops.
Good idea.
Yeah, and there was somebody at the RISE conference talking about a service that's been set up for bookshops. Who was this? I can't remember what panel this was on. Sorry, I'm slightly vague. This was So if you want to sell your bookshop, you can talk to this association and then they...
Oh, this association is the Syndicat de la Librairie Française.
Okay.
So that's the French Booksellers Association. But again, we are French. So we have one big national BA, and then we have one Booksellers Association in every region. And then we have one Booksellers Association for every type of specialized bookshops. One for the comic bookshops, one for the youth bookshops, one for the theological, the religious bookshops, and etc., etc. So we have 20 to 25 bookshops association in France. And of course, all of them have services to help people to find bookshops to buy.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
we grew up because some years ago we wouldn't even talk to each other, and now we all of us work together. So that's a very nice success.
Can I just ask you about Paris? Because I'm just blown away by the fact that there's 300 bookshops in
Yeah.
Paris. And I've just looked up that in the city of Paris, there's a population of just 2 million. So I'm guessing it's the wider Paris
I
region.
think the wider area is like 10 millions.
Yeah, 12. Yeah, okay, that makes slightly more sense. Yeah, but still in all, I mean, still impressive.
It's still too many bookshops.
No.
Yes,
Have
yes,
too
yes,
many
yes.
bookshops.
Too many bookshops. We have 3,500 bookshops in France.
Is that
And
new
still-
used and
With that number, we have places where you don't have a bookshop and places where you have 300 bookshops. We have to, spread them a bit better.
is there a clear distinction between new bookstores and used bookstores, antiquarian, secondhand?
Yes and no, of course. My favorite answer, it depends. We have a very clear distinctions between antique bookshops.
Yeah,
Those sell very, very old used book.
right.
And then you had lots of used bookshops, and they have closed a bit. And now what works, what is trendy now, is to have old and new books in the same bookshop.
Yeah.
It is a problem because, of course, French publishers want to have a tax on used books because they want to be paid again.
Yeah.
And I
No.
think they're going to succeed.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's not
They
good.
have a very heavy weight on our government.
Yeah.
So yeah, they might succeed.
So you can't resell your book without a tax on it.
You can, if you are an individual, you can resell your book with it. But the bookshop that's going to sell it to someone else will have to pay a tax.
Charity shops as well?
Hmm?
Charity shops as well?
Maybe, maybe not, probably not.
It's a
But
difficult
then we
law
have
to
a
set
problem
up.
because
Yeah.
of course, that
Yeah.
the law should apply in the same way to everyone.
Yeah.
So if you start having a law and then saying, yeah, charity shops, not. Private individuals, neither. Yeah. And then you have a law that applies only to
That
55
me as a
bookshops,
precedent.
and that's a problem.
That building you see behind me is 90% used books. So I don't like that precedent at all.
Yeah.
But there we are.
Can I ask one more question, Evan? Have we got time for one
Yes.
more?
Yeah, I do.
I'm going to go. Okay, so this is a very teachery question, but I'm fascinated by your assessments for this, Nina. So you talked about a memoir at the end, but I mean, do they have to do essays at the end of these courses? What kind of assessments do you, for example, for the window display module?
They have to make a window.
They just have to make a window.
They have a big hat in which
Yeah.
they have a subject, They just take a subject on the
Oh,
and they have to build a window on that subject. That's for window assessment. And for selling courses, you have to sell a book to a
wow,
jury.
okay.
Ooh.
But, so I will always remember my own. So I was a very young bookseller, and they asked me. So the jury was 2 people. I had to sell them. We were on a very big shop. They asked for a book for a kid who wants to garden, but it rains, so he can't get out. So a book on gardening for children inside. Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't the very best moment of
It's
my
making me
life.
sweat just thinking, I don't know how I'd have coped with that one. That implies the level of detail that the courses provide though. You know, you are giving them obviously that in this analysis they're doing of all the different sections when they go around the bookshops.
They have to learn to in fact, for that subject exactly, if I had to do it today, at the time, I think I don't remember. I had, I might have said that I didn't have anything, but I could order. But now, as times have slightly changed since, I would probably want the students to search about, to look for books about gardening, and then say, he can think of what he will do when it's not raining. I would like them to be able to navigate between practical part of the bookshop and youth part of the bookshop. And I would like them to be able to propose several books and not just one. And I think the grade lies on how they are able to listen and understand what it is asked of them, and not just to know every book, because they can't. We know they can't. But we have to have booksellers that can listen to clients and provide answers to the client question and not to another question that wasn't even asked.
Thank you, Nina.
We have also lots of essays. We have them thinking on articles, and we have them thinking on. I myself love to have them thinking, just the act of thinking. So I want them to write something that comes from them, and not that's just spilling the course I have made, because I do know my own course. I don't need them to write. I want them to say what they really think. So that's how we do it also. It is a bit difficult. They've learned lots of fear that they don't need to think. They just need to, spill out the course. So it's a bit difficult to have them think of them on themselves.
Fantastic. Thank you, Nina.
It's interesting because your description, it's very much the skill of creating a sense of place in the store, of understanding your inventory, of being able to work with customers and understanding your location. Very little, you mentioned very little about the digital side of things, the technology that they need to know. Is that considered less important, or is it just something they need, but not the focus?
It is very up. I can't, being head of Alir, I can't say it's not important. It is very important, but those are tools. So of course they have sessions and courses on what are those tools and what those tools can be used to, but tools only. And for me, they are going to have a POS in the bookshop, then going to working, and the other bookshop, it's going to be another one. And so they have to know they exist. They have to know what they can do with it. They have to know that online sales exist and how to do it. They have to understand how ebooks works, what's a PDF and what's an EPUB, and how do you buy it and how do you put it in a reader? But that's, for me, not the core of their work.
Yeah.
That's just tools. Tools I love, tools I use on my everyday life, of course, but tools.
Yeah. I like that. Makes sense.
Hope it does.
Right. Do we have any other questions, Sheila? No. Sam, been nodding their head. I think you filled us with a vision of new things. That was really interesting. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you very much.
I do want to take the course.
Yeah. Nina,
I've
how
got
do we
You
sign
should
up?
come.
booksellers I want to send over
We
to the
have a
course.
1-year course for people who are going back in.
Sam.
There will be follow-up emails.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And
Real pleasure.
Thanks, Nina.
bye-bye.
Bye now.
Bye. Bye. Thanks, Sheila. Nice to see you. Bye.
Right.